we're now in the cleanup mode in a lot of cases. We've got most of the projects that are out there. We now have a good sort of understanding what needs to be done. MassDOT has been unbelievable with us, working with us so closely on some of these projects. Work has already started on some of these projects. We're trying to get, not all of this is our jurisdiction, so some of it is MassDOT, some is MBTA, and we're trying our absolute hardest to get all our streets open. But let me just back up a second. This morning, school opened. It was delayed, but it went very well, very smooth. And we thank everybody for that cooperation. We want to make sure everybody, it's a good place for kids to be at school, and we can feed them. They were happy to be there, and everything went very well. And thank you to the superintendent and her team. They did just a remarkable job. There's I'm sure everybody's seen that, as we change our focus, that house on Exchange Street where the bridge is completely gone and there's no access to the property. So working with MassDOT, we're going to begin, and the DPW, we met up there this morning. So we're going to have to run literally a temporary road through the back of the high school fields, and we're going to run a temporary road. There are 3 houses up in that that was served by that bridge. The bridge is no longer there; it's gone, and it's impossible. Looked at engineering-wise, there's no way to put a temporary bridge. It's just there's nothing structurally to hold it that you can sit it on that would hold it. So that is gone. So we're going to be building a road short term, but this could be through the winter before they can actually fix that area. Get the utilities hooked up back to that house, and they're going to start right today, right? Today, working on building that road. You've been up by the fire station, you saw the mudslide that came from the railroad tracks. So they're going to start on that. When, Ray? They're going to start with drainage pipe, because it's still Saturday. So there's still water coming off that hill from the tracks. We've got to capture that water and put it into the drain system, stormwater system, and that'll allow us to clean up in that area and then open the road for 2 ways. So there's still some problem areas along 117 that we can't get into. Different parts of the city that you've seen, these massive sinkholes that we're working on. But let me get back to the homeowner, because there are a lot of people who lost everything. And people that never had a drop of water in their basement and now found everything is gone. And so the first phase was getting out there and pumping basements, and we've done that. The second phase is to shut my phone. The second phase was helping people, getting those basements dry and stable. And the next part of it is we're going to be placing trash recyclables, big dumpsters over by Doyle Field, and we'll do that on Saturday and Sunday. That's the first part of the cleanup, all part of the first cleanup, and that'll allow people with things like boxes, things that got wet. This isn't meant for appliances or anything just yet. This isn't a tear out of sheetrock or any of that. These are the things that people had that they could put in a trunk of a car or an SUV or a pickup truck and bring to Doyle Field. We'll have other dumpsters for other things later on, but this is the immediate response right now. And they will be out there, even if it storms on Saturday, they'll be out there Saturday and they'll be out there Sunday. And then we'll bring in other dumpsters during the course of the week. Appliances and other things like dishwashers and trash compactors and water heaters and stoves can be brought to AKS for free. They don't charge you for that. And then you charge you $40 for refrigerators, freezers, air conditioners, and dehumidifiers. So we'll share all that with the residents of the city, but it's all part of that initial phase 1. Let's get everybody cleaned up and dried out and remove anything that is still containing water. A lot of people have called and said, I had a finished basement, and is there something you can help us with? We're not at that point yet. We don't know what the assistance will be from the state and federal government, but again, we're at the cleanup and dry out phase right now, and we'll certainly share all that information as soon as we have it. The relief fund is, thanks to you and others, it is bringing in donations. But obviously at this particular point, we can't spend more than we have. So we're trying to get to the elderly. A lot of hot water tanks are gone and heating systems. So we're trying to prioritize that. Obviously, an elderly person or somebody that's disabled is going to go to the top of the list. We also have CDBG funding, Community Development Block Grant funding. Some families and people may be eligible for that. On the business front, we've done such a good job communicating. I don't want to scare people into thinking that businesses aren't open. Businesses started right away, my own business, and all my neighbors started pumping through the night, get us dry, get us clean, and get us open. Most of the businesses are open, and we don't want to scare people into thinking that don't come to Leominster, it's just one big sinkhole. It's not. The businesses are open. The restaurants that aren't open will be open by tomorrow night, and we'll have a big push to let people know that. So if you could help share that, people are sort of avoiding, the city, and there may be some detours, but we've worked real hard to get everything cleaned up so we can get people in and out of the city. We'll get you around those detours, but it's not a city to be avoided, and businesses will be open. And businesses spent a lot of their own money, had no insurance, to make sure they could get open as fast as possible. So that's where we are today, and I know there's another storm coming, but school went off without a hitch this morning, went very well, went perfectly, and we've got all houses, everybody that wanted to be pumped out, needed our assistance, that's done. And we're working on a couple of different areas where MassDOT is going to help us with reconstruction of some of these areas, and then bringing in our own consultants and our own construction companies to tackle some of the others. So I don't know if you have any questions at all, but we'll be glad to take them. And obviously some of the department heads are here to help you out if you need some of the questions.
The road that you said you're going to start today to make passable,
Yep.
When do you expect it will be done? Are the people who are on that side trapped? Have they been brought over?
Yeah, they've been brought over. There's a little path where you can walk through the woods, which is, and others have relocated temporarily. So let me just say, even the road going in to the property, the temporary road, is a big project in itself. It's got to be how many feet is it road? It's probably
1,000 feet.
Yeah, it's 1,000 feet easy. But they're going to do a good job of it. They've already hired the contractor, Lynch Construction, so they're going to start right away and stay at it. That will at least allow us, public safety, to get in and out of the property, let them get in and out of the property, rehook their utilities, then we can start from the Exchange Street side and start working to build access that way. But that's going to take some time. If you've been out there, you see what I mean. It's not throw a culvert pipe and throw a wooden bridge over it. This is major construction.
You said you were setting up sandbags yesterday. Are there
Yes.
any particular areas that you're focused on with the hurricane approaching?
Well, obviously the people that know their home and know the geometry and the geographics have been coming in to pick up. And thanks to the volunteers, even though it rained and poured yesterday, they stayed right with it. They continued to fill sandbags. It was amazing, and in some cases deliver them. So we went through how many tons?
52 tons, and we're producing another 26 tons of sandbags today.
52 tons of sand bagging, and they're here at the emergency management at 37 Carter Street. We don't need this next storm. It's the least thing we need right now, but we can't change that, so we'll deal with it, and we'll be here 24/7, and we'll stay right with it. And next week's weather looks better, and that allows us good construction time, but the ground is saturated now. That makes for tough working conditions when it's just sinking into the ground. Yeah.
Do you know when you guys will be able to fix Leominster High School and Northwest Middle School?
Those are open and they're done. So DPW stayed late last night. They got the street, which is called Kingman Drive, that the high school is actually on. It's not pretty right now. Doesn't have a final coat of blacktop, but it's got a graded base, and it's enough for people to pass to and from.
So schools should
Yeah.
I mean, schools open. But
Schools are open, and we opened that road, and that was a major, because that handles about half of the amount of traffic that goes to and from the high school. So that was a big deal. Yeah, that's done.
Mayor, about that dam, the Barrett Park Pond Dam, should this be, make an example or a wake-up call? There are other dams around the state that are in quote-unquote poor condition, and people don't think about the worst scenario, and then you get so much rain. What would you say to other communities?
There are so many dams out there, some abandoned, some owned by private groups that aren't really aware of the liability that they have. And we have done, like our reservoirs, we have spent millions.
Our dams are all done.
We're all done with us, and we've spent millions to do that. And so people look at the list and they say, well, Barrett Park was on a list that said, you know, that should be replaced. Well, there are others that should have been replaced that were more important. And I think the state and the federal government have to understand, with everything that we do every day, you can't possibly play catch-up. So for instance, we've done our, you hear about these communities that are dumping raw sewage into the rivers and streams. We started 30 years ago separating our systems so that our stormwater is separate from our sewer system. We're done on that. We've spent tens of millions of dollars to do that, tens of millions of dollars to repair our dams. So we're almost there as far as municipal dams, but you know, there's a grant process. They can only handle so many of the grants. First, you have to apply for the engineering and the plans. Then when that's done, you apply for another grant. Then you have to go out to bid for the actual work itself. It's a very lengthy process, even when you are getting the funding. But yeah, I think this is a wake-up call for everybody. We've done well. I mean, as you heard the DPW director state, all our dams, in fact, the last one was done last year or the year before, and they're big dams, holding back millions of gallons of water. They're done. Now, you know, we're at Barrett Park and, you know, just, you know, the areas, but nationally and statewide, there's list and list and list of these dams that are in various stages. Yeah, it's just, what community, you know, we're trying to make sure we fund our schools, public safety, you know, you know, not many options when it comes to that. So you, like every other city in town, you prioritize.
Now that you've assessed the area, do you have numbers as to how many homes were ruined or have, you know, a lot of damage or buildings?
There are 5 houses that are uninhabitable, right? And then you've got some commercial buildings, but there are 5 houses. Over 100 houses that had flood damage that we know of. There are many that didn't report it, just took it upon themselves to you know, pump out their basements and correct the problem on their own. But I'd say out of that, it's probably 100 that were, and remember, there was a lot of people that finished their basements, never had a drop of water, so, you know, made another room downstairs and, you know, a family room or whatever it might be, and spent a lot of money, you know, building those up.
What's the total estimate damage right now?
Right now, my quick calculations that I did on my own, based on other projects that have been done around the state, and the fact that I'm on the board of MassDOT, I could go through some of these projects to see what they cost. And we're at 25 or 35 million without even looking, and that's primary, that's without even getting too deep into the.
Also, the homes that are accessible through Exchange Street, I'm probably the only person in this room that hasn't been over there. So there's a bridge, so the bridge you were talking about, that is gone.
Gone.
That bridge actually, is that Exchange Street?
What's the number up there,
181 to 185.
Yeah.
181 to 185? Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of hidden in the woods. Most people in town don't even know it's there. They never knew those 3 houses were there.
So the plan is to put a temporary road behind the high school?
Yes,
Okay, that's the short term.
yes.
And you're working with?
Long road, short term.
Okay, and you're working with DOT and DPW in Leominster to get that done?
Yes, that's ongoing now. They'll hook up the utilities so that we can, once the road's done, or anytime, they can start at least using, you know, water sewer and get back into the houses.
And the people that live there, they've left, and
Yes.
they're out?
Mhm.
Okay.
I think there's one person that might be up there because I see footprints going through there's a little
Okay.
path and I see footprints
Okay,
going through there. So,
thank you.
yeah.
Besides damage, are there health concerns? I mean, when you have flooding like that, an enormous amount of water, mold, mildew, other concerns in general.
Yeah, no, we have a team that'll be coming in, and that's part of the whole cleanup, and they'll start Saturday.
Saturday morning, yes.
Yeah, you want to explain that, Arthur? You've
Sure.
been on top of that. Come up to the mic and.
Sure. We have, I'm Arthur Oberthon, the Director of Emergency Management. We have several private volunteer organizations that we're coordinating through here. They'll be headquartered here, and they're offering to come in and go into people's homes at free of charge. And they will first remove all the damaged furniture, soaked carpets, things of this sort. they'll dry it, they'll clean it to the extent that they can to prevent mold, such as what you're saying, which is a health concern, certainly, and leave the homeowner there with a cleaned out basement or first floor, depending on what was damaged, all right? They'll bring the trash to the end of the driveway or the end of the property. We're coordinating for debris removal as soon as possible, and it's really ruined furniture removal, if you will, ruined furniture, ruined carpets, etc. So we're looking for that as soon as possible. We think that we can get that removed over the weekend as well, so we won't have, you know, piles of debris, if you will, on city streets and so forth. If that addresses your question.
I mean, people can move back into their homes without being concerned if they're dried out at this point?
Yeah, so, and there's several deeper aspects to that. So we've also teamed these private volunteer organizations up with the Red Cross. They offer some services, and we have some Red Cross representatives here, and they offer some relief, if you will, to the homeowner. Some of it is in terms of they can stay at a hotel as their home is being dried out and so forth. We also are working with the city government and the building department so that any issues that need to be inspected, that all that will happen concurrently. So we'll go into the home once, if you will. It'll get cleaned out. They'll be able to speak to the Red Cross. They'll also be able to speak to a building inspector or a staff member of the building department who will say, here's the scope of what needs to be inspected or what doesn't, for that matter, all right? So all that will be sort of a one stop, and that's going to happen this weekend. That's going to commence Saturday morning.
Also, was talking about the building inspector, did anyone go down to the Tilton and Cook Marketplace, and what is the status of that building?
Yeah, so, I mean, by law, you have to follow the law. What we do is a structural survey. So that's the fire department, the, an engineer, and the building inspector. And if they deem it unsafe, then they notify the owner. The owner has X amount of days to secure the building somehow, either put it back together or demolish or partially demolish. And if that doesn't happen, then the city steps in and orders a demolition, and then we try to recoup our costs, put a lien on the property. But the business owner, you know, the people that own the property have been around for a long time. That property hasn't transferred in 70 years, probably. I mean, it's the same.
Has that process happened yet? The fire department, building inspector, they
Yeah,
all?
we're going to be, the one engineer that we usually use was out of country, so we're off to another engineer, and that process is ongoing, yeah. But for now, we're keeping people away from it, and the building we're keeping people out of the building, obviously, and away from it.
Can you talk about the mood of the city? I don't know if you could possibly know that, but the people you're talking to, what's the feeling?
Well, I think I said the other day, I think people are confident in what we've been doing. They're watching this all unfold and realize that, you know, just from their own window, you know, walk out the door and see what's happened, that this is a major catastrophe and not just a quick weekend and will be cleaned up. So they've been very patient and helpful. And so the mood is good, and I think they see us working hard to try to help everybody, and you know, everybody's needs are different, but we're trying to help everyone, and I think they see that, and we understand, you know, patience will wear, and you know, we understand that, and we're moving as quickly as we possibly can.
And you said school was delayed this morning?
Well, we just did we have a delay, 2-hour delay. That gave us more time to get everyone in. We're waiting for the work traffic to commence. That allowed us to, you know, sometimes at 7 in the morning, we're running buses while people are trying to get to and from work. So we figured we'd back off 2 hours and let the work crowd get to work, and it went seamless. We didn't have any issues.
Did you have to dispatch anyone to help the school buses?
No, I don't know. Chief, is the police chief here? I didn't hear of any situations, but we had police officers and public safety everywhere. So it was pretty easy. I mean, so there was people everywhere directing traffic and everything, so that went pretty smoothly. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. We may go with the same sort of a 2-hour delay because it seemed to work. You know, we still got major roads like, you know, one lane on southbound on 13 over the bridge. We still got one lane going on Mechanic Street. There's still a lot of places where there's one lane open, and So it does tend, those are the places that really it tends to accumulate traffic in the morning. So we may go with that, depending how superintendent feels later, we'll talk about that.
Do you know what time you might be putting that out, when school starts?
Early afternoon, yeah, we want people to know. I mean, listen, so many people work today, they need to plan. We used to be able to make that call at 7 in the morning in snowstorms. You can't wait anymore. And again, the Red Cross, thank you, it's still here. They've been a great team to us and done a fabulous job here. And we still have the people in the high rise, and that's 100 Main Street, and they're still without permanent power. Let me see, I can get you this. They're waiting on an electrical engineer because all that electrical service was submerged in water. But we got temporary power in there with the elevators, and for the elevators and some power inside. But we managed to bring them food, and they're happy. But again, what they really want is full power. We're moving as quick. Whatever inspectors, whatever they need from us, Housing Authority, we're on call 24/7 for inspections, approvals, whatever's necessary. All right?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So there's an issue with the, issue with, chief.
Visually today, things that we want to actually see that are going on. One is the building of that road. Anything else with the rest of the stuff like this?
Lancaster Street is becoming